Hey, so I wish it was more obvious than it is, but bodybuilding is one of my greatest passions in life. I've been lifting weights for almost 10 years now, and I spend a huge amount of my time dedicating myself to the sport. But during this time, I've seen the sport shift dramatically. When I first started working out, social media was in its relative infancy. Apps like Instagram and TikTok hadn't taken root in our daily lives. But now, things are different. In some ways for the better, and others for the worse. Bodybuilding and the fitness industry in general are larger than they've ever been before. But how do we get here? And what has changed? While bodybuilding has been around in one form or another since the time of the ancient Greeks, I would argue that it wasn't until the release of the 1977 documentary Pumping Iron and the rise of Arnold Schwarzenegger that bodybuilding began to enter the public consciousness. Back in the time of the documentary, there weren't too many avenues to go down as a pro bodybuilder. And most found themselves striving for one thing, the title of Mr. Olympia, and maybe the chance of seeing themselves on film. And this was Arnold's domain. He was a natural on the camera, and through the analog media of film, he was able to transform what it meant to be a bodybuilder and build a character for himself. In his humble beginnings, bodybuilding wasn't exactly a cool thing to do, maybe even a bit weird. But that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. What was once only available to be found in niche magazines or books has become available online for anyone to see, and free of charge at that. The sport is more accessible to people than ever before. The Mr. Olympia competition is no longer a small venue for a small group of people, but rather a large-scale expo for tens of thousands of people to attend and hundreds of thousands more to watch online. The magazines and posters that might have filled my bedroom if I was a fledgling bodybuilder back in the 80s are now instead a continuous stream of inspiring Instagram posts from the biggest names in the industry. But it's not just inspiration that's being shared, it's information as well. Hundreds of high-quality diets and training programs are readily available online, for free, along with some subpar ones as well. And anyone who can make enough noise is able to have a voice, again, for better or for worse. With this incredible wealth of information, it's quite easy for people to hit the ground running when they first start getting into it. This is something that's undeniably positive. Furthermore, with the rise of wearable technology like smartwatches, people are able to track their workouts and bodies in ways that could be truly beneficial, even to bodybuilders back in the golden era of the 70s and 80s. People are also now able to track their progress visually using cameras on their phones. And for the some who are more into the hobby, it's become increasingly common for people to use full-size cameras to record their workouts, regardless of their notoriety. It has become commonplace for me to go to the gym and see people recording themselves. While I might argue that this could be a bit of a distraction to your workout and to other members in the gym, the passion is still respectable. Where the end goal for many used to be the dream of getting a pro card in competition and becoming a top-level bodybuilder, that goal has shifted. Instead, modern-day hobbyists pursue social media follows in the hopes of becoming famous, building a fan base, or making a business out of it. Something that simply wasn't possible in the past. Where the stage used to be the end goal, we now compete online to see who can generate the most clicks and engagement. This online world has been a blessing for so many, allowing them to create careers out of their passions. This is something that simply wasn't possible before the online era, except for a few of the very best looking bodybuilders at the top. The fitness industry is now generating revenue in the tens of billions and only continues to grow. But that doesn't mean that it's all good news. With the continuous increase in social media use, people are faced with distorted realities of perfect bodies, forced to compare themselves to elite human bodies that are being made to seem like the norm. The constant comparison inevitably leads to body image issues, something that I myself have often faced. What we see online is a filtered version of what is real, and we have to keep that in mind. Personally, I find myself spending less and less time on social media apps like Instagram as a result of this. It doesn't make me feel good. So, perhaps, this is something from bodybuilding of old that has been lost. Doing it simply for you, to be the best version of yourself, rather than to try to reach an unattainable goal every single day. We are also faced with the undeniable reality of steroids. On one side, we have fake natties, or people that claim to be natural when they aren't, spreading misinformation, pushing people towards an unattainable goal. And on the other side, we have people that are glorifying steroids and spreading misinformation as to how harmful they really are. And along with that, With a few simple Google searches and a Bitcoin transaction, almost anyone could buy steroids from their own home, if they wanted to. I've seen countless young adults taking these compounds, and all too often, they find themselves regretting that decision. Social media has killed bodybuilding. That's what the old heads will say. And in some ways, I think they're right. And I see what they mean. The old school of bodybuilding is coming to an end. My favorite old dungeon gyms have been closed down, and new age gyms driven by social media have taken over. The magazines are no longer being pressed, switched out for the like button, and ultimately, bodybuilding is a new sport in the modern era. It is more accessible than ever, and for many it serves as a positive outlet and a route towards a healthier lifestyle in a country that so desperately needs it. So, I think despite the issues that are caused by the internet in the current day, bodybuilding is better than ever, and I think that's going to continue into the future. And at the end of it all, if you're like me, I don't think the core of bodybuilding is changing anytime soon. I still like to pick things up and put them down.